Well, thank you for joining us here. It is definitely, we are in the midst of a tax season here, the 2021 tax season. Thank you for joining us. My name is John Sluice. Wanted to come to you here with a few items for you to think about as you're pulling the paperwork together and getting it ready to bring to us for taxes. So join us here as we go through those items. Well, thank you for joining. Wanted to go through some of these items as you start pulling through documents and getting them ready for taxes. The first one I want to bring to your attention is if you have received advanced payments for the child tax credit. So if you had a dependent that was on your tax return last year, you would have been receiving it from July through December, potentially. If you received those, you probably got a letter in the mail from the IRS in maybe the last week or so. Make sure you keep that. That's got key information for us when we're preparing your tax return. If you threw it away, we can figure it out, but ideally you didn't throw it away, you kept it, and make sure we get us a copy of them. The next thing I want to make sure I point out is many of your statements from tax point of views are coming electronically now, not in the mail. Say the 1099s from your brokerage accounts or from your retirement draws, maybe your HSAs or your statement from tuition that you paid. Those are notoriously, you'll have to go to your students portal to download those. Make sure you watch online for them. You should have received an organizer in the mail. That should show you what we used last year. If you have anything new, make sure you watch for those. But many organizations are not sending them in the mail anymore, so make sure you watch for those and you go online and electronically get those for you. One item here I also want to mention and bring your attention is this recent stock market, the ups and downs. I can't give financial advice or anything on those, but one thing to consider is if you have made tax planning considerations, maybe for a Roth IRA, or you typically think about doing HSAs or IRA contributions as part of your tax planning for 2021, now might be a time to consider putting into the market when it's going down. Again, talk to your financial advisor, but it's something to think about. As the market's down here, you may want to take advantage of that. Same thing can be said if you took in 2019 a draw against your 401k and we use the COVID relief, you should be paying some of those back. Maybe consider paying it back now while it's lower than what it might be come when you actually do your tax returns. Give us a call if that's something you want to talk through. Again, I don't recommend doing this without talking to your financial advisors, but it's something to think about between talking to myself and your advisor. If it makes sense, think through that, because now let's take advantage of where the market is going, or up or down or otherwise. Next topic I want to hear briefly are for those of you in Michigan specifically, a few items. One is we are seeing many individuals receive letters from the unemployment agency requesting further documentation from the unemployment still related to the COVID if you took unemployment. Just stand fast and keep giving them those. We can't give you any magic information. Just know that they are going through, they're hitting audits, they're looking through those. We said all along that they're going to be doing this. They are now doing it. And you may feel frustrated because maybe you gave the information 2, 3, 4 times already. Just keep going with it and keep plugging along with those. You're not alone in that sense. Be aware of that. I also want to draw your attention if you're a business owner. Some of you have already talked with us on this, but we're going to be referring to you more and more on these as well. The state just passed, and I say just, it was in the very, very tail end of December, some new legislation that could impact you. First one being the gambling losses. Historically, you were able to deduct those for federal purposes, but not for state purposes. Now you are eligible, so make sure we watch for those. That will help if you have those. But some tax planning opportunities, they also provided the ability for pass-through entities to pay their state taxes at the corporate level versus the individual level. This is one of those things that the states are trying to find loopholes around that deductibility on state taxes, where that went away on your itemized deductions. We'll probably be talking with you on this, but watch for it. Make sure you ask us if you've got a business. We we might consider making these payments in through the business instead of at the individual tax level. It certainly can provide some tax savings. There's some administrative loopholes that you have to jump through and make sure that we have one more group of estimates that we have to be thinking about. So we'll definitely have to see if it's worth it. But for many individuals, it will be. So we'll be coming to you and talking to you about that. So I just wanted to make sure I mention it here in case you've heard about those. And then lastly for today, for these updates here coming in the middle of tax season, or the start of the tax season at least, is inflation. We're all hearing about inflation. We're all starting to see the impacts of those certainly. But from your accountant's point of view, make sure that you consider that when you're doing your planning for some financial items. Let's say you have some loans that you have to your inner family, or maybe loans within the business. Maybe you're looking at doing land contracts. The rates that we've been using in the past might now be too low given the new inflation. And so we might start making sure we're planning for higher interest rates in some of these loans that we're setting up for businesses or for individuals. You're seeing it certainly at the individual, at your personal level with the cost of foods and the cost of other things. So let's be aware of it. You're also seeing that inside of your Social Security and your Medicare that is impacting there as well. So we're definitely going to want to consider that as we're looking at our tax planning and looking at where we're seeing costs go from a business point of view. Well, thank you for joining us today. It was a brief update as we certainly are in the midst of tax season here. Give us a call if you have anything. We're plugging through things. We're pushing out W-2s, 1099s, all of those. If you have questions, give us a call. We look forward to talking to you, and we hope you're staying warm.